So The Devil's Rejects is a movie that came out in 2005, and it's directed, written, and produced by Rob Zombie, who is a filmmaker, a musician, a producer, a writer. He is everything. And even though most of his movies, I would say, aren't that good, all of them are at least interesting, and Devil's Rejects is no different. The reason I wanted to talk about this movie, though, is because recently I've been going through all of his movies and watching them one by one, and The Devil's Rejects is by far, I think, his best and most interesting. Whether that's unintentional or not, we can decide for ourselves, but The Devil's Rejects is, I think, his best movie. Lords of Salem, I also really like. 3 from Hell, which is a sequel to Devil's Rejects, I don't like at all. House of a Thousand Corpses is the prelude to Devil's Rejects, which I haven't seen. And then he's done Halloween movies and a bunch of other random stuff. So the reason I want to talk about this, though, isn't just because it's his best or his most compelling. I think this movie is actually a perfect encapsulation of both cult movies and of 70s horror movies, which makes it very interesting.
Oh, hi.
Hi. I'm gonna have to be taking your car today. See, I have some top secret clown business that supersedes any plans that you might have for this here vehicle.
What's that about clown business?
This movie is about 3 main characters, which are the Devil's Rejects. They are the antagonists of the film, but also the protagonists of the film in an interesting way that I'll talk about more later. But we've got Sherry Moon Zombie, who plays Baby. We've got Sid Haig, who plays the clown. And we've got Guy, whose name I'm forgetting, who plays Guy, whose name I'm also forgetting. But all 3 of these characters are by far the best parts of the movie and by far the standout. They have been given free rein to essentially just do whatever they want. Their performances are the best parts of this movie and are so hammy and over the top, they're frequently hilarious.
That goddamn Elvis Presley.
What did you say about the king?
I said he died 3 days before Grouch!
Son, you ever say another derogatory word about Elvis Aaron Presley in my presence again, I will kick the living shit out of you!
But what I like about this premise, that it's following these 3, the Devil's Rejects, these 3 just serial killers, these psychopaths, what I find most interesting about that is the dichotomy that comes up between these antagonists and the stereotypical protagonists who they end up killing off in a hotel. We got these characters that come in this van, they're like a banjo group, and the Devil's Rejects kind of storm their hotel room and hide out there because the cops are all looking for them. And this is so interesting to me because the characters that come in this van, all these banjo players characters, are kind of the stereotypical 70s horror movies protagonists. They're essentially the characters from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're very white bread, they're very normal, they're very plain characters. You've got a goofy one, you've got an old man married to an older woman, you've got a young couple. They're just like these very plain characters, and in any other movie, even in another Rob Zombie movie, they would be the leads. You would be following these characters and watching them being antagonized by the Devil's Rejects, but not in this movie. The Devil's Rejects are the main characters, and I think the purpose of doing that is to juxtapose the horrific things they do with the horrific things the cops do. That's the main story. Again, in any other movie, we'd follow these milquetoast people as the Devil's Rejects attacks them, and that would be the whole movie. But that's just the first half. The Devil's Rejects attack these people, they murder all of them in horrific ways that is intensely unsettling and disturbing. What makes it work for me is the fact that the movie balances comedy and horror very well in this first half. Like I said, the main performances are incredibly over the top and hilarious, and they say incredibly over-the-top and hilarious things, but then they immediately follow that comedy up with horrific violence or just genuinely disturbing things.
Oh, hi.
Hi. I'm gonna have to be taking your car today. See, I have some top secret clown business that supersedes any plans that you might have for this here vehicle. What's the matter, kid? Don't you like clowns?
And it kind of makes you question whether or not you should be laughing or whether or not you should be enjoying yourself, because the Devil's Rejects clearly are, but they're doing that by murdering people in cold blood for no good reason other than they looked at them wrong.
Ah! Good. Very nice. Now you come here. Right here. Kneel down. Give me a kiss and say, thank you, baby, I'm having a great time.
But then the movie shifts in the second half when the clown meets up with Baby and the other guy. They go to this pimp's place and they hang out there. They hide out there from the cops because this sheriff who is ruthless and on their tail is looking for them and getting close. So they go to this place to hide out, and Danny Trejo comes up. The sheriff hires him to go find them. They find them, and then the sheriff does horrific things to them. And what I love about that is that the first half of the movie seems to be setting up that you shouldn't like these antagonists. You shouldn't like them at all. They do horrible things. They may be funny, but they do horrible things. And then the last half shows this sheriff doing the horrible things and these people just like running for their lives from him. So it kind of plays on who you should feel bad for at any given time, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
See, I tried to walk the line, but now I realize there is no line.
And then the ending, I think, is perfect. It's the three Devil's Rejects, they're in this car, and the police have the road blocked. And instead of giving in to the system, they decide to just go out in a blaze of glory. They take out their guns and start shooting at these cops, and then all three of them get murdered. Even though they don't in the third movie, which is completely ridiculous and unfortunate, because this ending is awesome. And you got that sweet guitar solo from Song I'm Forgetting. But overall, I really love this movie. I love the way it plays on different characters and how you're supposed to feel about certain characters. And I also think Rob Zombie's style, for once, actually works to the movie's benefit. Most of the time, he's got this quick-cutting, kind of gritty style, but in a movie like 31 or Lords of Salem, it just comes off kind of rushed and amateurish and cheap. But here, it seems to be directly inspired by movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it's gritty, it's shot on film, and it has this kind of like gross, grungy quality to it that actually helps the movie a lot, especially since most of the movie takes place in like a seedy hotel room and a seedy pimp's place, and that's like the extent of the movie. So I really like it. I would say everyone should watch it if you can handle horrific violence and incredibly disturbing things. I think it's definitely worth a watch, and it is actually really interesting in a way I didn't expect. So, Devil's Rejects, really solid movie.